Welcome everybody to another Kaapana demo session. My name is Markus Bujacek. I'm a PhD student in the Kaapana team and want to give you today a brief introduction into Kaapana's new workflow management system. In the latest version of Kaapana 0.2.0, the new workflow management system was introduced, and furthermore, the Kaapana object workflows. Workflows semantically bind together executed jobs on the platform, data on which the jobs are executed, and orchestrating and runner instances which execute the workflow jobs. Since this is a demo, let's take a look into our Kaapana platform. When we're here at our Kaapana platform, the workflow management system consists in the left-hand side's menu out of the workflow execution component, the workflow list, the workflow results, and the instance overview. Let's start by taking a look into the workflow execution component. In the workflow execution component, we are first asked to select from a drop-down menu and therefore from all installed workflows on the platform, a workflow which we want to start. In this case, we want to start an unit training. Afterwards, directly a workflow name is automatically created, but we can modify it, for example, like this. Then we have to do some configuration of this workflow. In this case, we have to accept the method and then can, for example, decrease the epochs to 10 and do further adjustments if we want, like, for example, restricting the input modalities to segmentations only. After configuring this workflow, we have to select the data set on which the workflow should run. In this case, that would be this abdomen segmentation workflow. Optionally, we could also specify a dataset limit here, but as we want to do the NN unit training on the whole dataset, we keep this empty. Now we just hit Start Workflow, and we are redirected to the workflow list and also get a notification that the workflow was successfully started. Before taking a deeper look into the workflow list, I also want to highlight that you can not only start workflows from the Workflow Execution tab, but also from this great overview here in Datasets. In the Dataset component, which is presented or introduced in another Kaapana tutorial, you can just select here some samples and click on this play button, and you're presented with the same workflow execution dialog and can also start here workflows from this view. Nonetheless, as we already started a workflow, we can see this workflow now in the workflow list. It's here in the top row of this table, and it says NN unit training 5667 as we configured it. The workflow list presents all workflows which are running or have been running on the platform. Workflows are presented with their workflow name, a unique workflow ID, the dataset on which this is running on, a time created and updated of the workflow, the user, the site on which the workflow was started, which is crucial in remote or federated workflow execution. And then we have this live status update of all jobs which are running in the workflow, where we can see that we have just one running job in this workflow, but no jobs in queued, scheduled, pending, finished, or failed state. In the last column of the workflow list, we can see some workflow actions to abort, restart, or delete the workflow. When we click now on this workflow, which we just started, it gets expanded and we are presented with the workflow jobs. In this case, the NN unit training job was started. So one NN unit training job was started, again with the time created and updated. A runner instance and owner instance, which is again important for remote and federated workflow execution. And then we have this configuration of the workflow where we can have some further insights. Furthermore, we're also presented with the current status of the workflow, which is in this case currently running. And then in this logs column, we can have, when we click this button here to get redirected to Airflow's DAG runs detail, we can have a further insight and a further detailed look on the current job which is running on Kaapana's workflow engine Airflow and have some further details there, which is important, for example, for debugging. In the last column of the job table, we also have the possibility to abort, restart, or delete single jobs. If you want to demonstrate, for example, now here the workflow actions to abort this workflow, we can just hit here abort. We get again a notification successfully aborted the workflow with the ID. And after a quick refresh, or if we wait, we can already see that we have now one job of this workflow which is in state failed. And when we expand it, we can also see here that the job failed. And we are here now in the jobs table of the workflow, not only presented with the redirecting to the Airflow logs, but also directly to the logs of the failed operator. When we click it here, we are directly in the operator which was set to failed and can have a look into the logs to further see what went wrong. Another important thing which we can see in this workflow list are service workflows, like for example this service daily cleanup jobs workflow. These workflow jobs are indicated with this workflow jobs indicator, and we are not presented with some actions, since these service workflows are workflows which are happening in the background of Kaapana and just doing, for example, cleanup jobs. As I already mentioned, after a successful NN unit training or total segment data prediction, where we have results of the workflow, we can have a look at them in the workflow results tab. And the last component of the workflow management system is the instance overview. But since this instance overview is highly connected to remote or federated workflow execution, this will be presented in another demo, which is about Kaapana federated, and a tutorial and a demo session about that. That was a brief introduction about the Kaapana workflow management system. For further information, for example, how to set up a Kaapana instance and other things, please check out our documentation. Furthermore, please check out our Slack, GitHub, and Twitter pages. Thanks for watching and see you next time.